Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh my gosh, we sure stinking do. How you doing? I'm Amanda.
I'm Lucy, and I'm doing great.
Oh, what a day.
We're visiting the Heartland today.
We are visiting the Heartland today, and for those of you who are on Patreon at the $5 or more level, this is a video episode today. And just to get our pumps primed, which is one of my least favorite phrases.
That's
I don't know why I just said that. Yeah, it's really gross. But I'm doing it. I, as we record this, am going to Mexico for my cousin's wedding. And so I leave tomorrow. So I got a spray tan today. And it's very possible that you will watch it develop before your eyes on screen, because
I was just thinking how pale I look compared to you. I'm going to turn my light down so I look less pale.
I got it around 1 p.m. and first off, I have a bone to pick with the last spray tan tech that helped me with the booth at, I won't name the business because I'm not actually coming for them. This one's on me.
Was it Suntan City? That's where I go.
It was not where you got fired from. No, it wasn't.
I never got hired. Also, that wasn't Suntan City. That was Ketchitan.
You're right. And it wasn't Ketchitan either. But so I like to go. They have a booth that I like just to get a little quick spray. And the last time I went was for my bachelorette party where my lips completely vanished. And I got the light tan. And I was like, I want to get the same level that I got last time, but like, do you have any tips?
Yeah, barrier cream.
Which I did put on a bunch of chapstick before going into the booth, but when I was leaving, they were like, okay, well, don't use any shampoo or whatever for the next 48 hours. And I was like, oh, I showered this morning. I'm not planning on showering again until probably 2 days from now. And they were like, oh, no, you're going to want to rinse off with just water after about 8 hours. Rinse off before you go to bed. And I was like, nobody fucking told me that the last time. They're like, yeah, don't sleep in it. And I was like,
oh, no, don't
never been told that. I've been told to hold off on showering and not fuck with it. So, okay, we're trying something new. So after this should be ending right around my 8-hour mark.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I guess it's only 5.
I'm going to text you later tonight and make sure you've showered.
I'm going to rinse off. I'm going to rinse
first
off.
Time.
I'm going to crank off. I'm going to rinse off.
Yuck. I hate that. I'm going to crank my
hog. Anyway, I'm not going to the destination of this episode today.
No, you're not. And this episode topic is brought to you because it is a very special fan pick. Brought to you by Lauren Hancock. And Lauren chose Ozark Crimes.
Correct.
Ozark's Crimes.
Crimes of the Ozark region.
Yes. Yes, Lauren.
Law and Order Special Ozark Crimes.
There are lots of crimes committed in the Ozarks. And if you watch that show,
I loved that show so much. I wanted that to be the theme for my wedding, and Bill shut it down. And I should have known then that
you would have had to get that ramen
would never
hair.
last.
The ramen hair.
I would do it. I'd get a short cropped bleach bottle blonde perm for my wedding to truly fit.
Think about
You
what
know
you
I
just
love to commit
said.
to a bit.
You do love a bit.
To the point that it often goes too far.
I feel like your adulthood is one big bit.
Yes, my life is one big fuckity bit. And honestly, in some ways, I'm ready to get off that train and maybe get onto a different bit. Can we switch the bit?
It's
Please?
too late. You've committed to the bit.
I'm locked in. Something's happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's my algorithm.
You're tatted up, babe. You have so many other people's hair sewn to your head right now.
Yeah,
It's too late. Your whole career is based on a bit. And therefore my career. So you're not going anywhere.
Are we about to barrel into an existential crisis at the top of Ozark Crimes?
I mean, what is
Your entire existence is a giant bit.
What is a life if not a bit?
A hopefully 80+ year bit.
A very long multi-decade bit.
To our multi-decade bit.
Hey, I think that's actually reassuring in a weird way.
Yeah, we're all just out here playing our role.
Don't take it too seriously. It's just a fucking bit.
No, it's
And
just
if
a
you don't
fucking
like your bit, I don't know, fake your own death, change your name, move to Guatemala, start a new bit. Anyway, Ozark
That's what I'm
Crimes.
fucking talking about. All right, let's do this.
Let's heal the wounds of the last 90 seconds and dive into our wine crime pairing, please, Amanda.
Yes, indeed. So on par with the tanning, I'm not drinking because I have to get up early for that flight. And
What time is your flight?
Well, okay, y'all are going to think that this is ridiculous, but
You
I
live
do not
10 minutes from the airport.
I live 10 minutes from the airport. I do have to be there about 2 hours beforehand because we might have to deal with like some custom stuff. But my flight is at 10:45 a.m., which does not sound early. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not early. But I got so ill, so physically ill. I don't sleep super well right before flying. And if I don't get a decent night's sleep and I'm running on absolute empty, it will like trigger my nausea issues. And the last time I did that, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, not because I took an early flight, but it certainly didn't help. So I have trauma. I have early flight trauma.
I do that too. And all of the flights out of Des Moines leave at like fucking 6
Crack of
a.m.
dawn. Yeah, it's awful.
Every flight is an early
My
flight.
flight is until 10:45, but we have to leave our house, I'd say, by 8:30.
I get it.
So we're there by 8:45. It's not a problem.
No drinking for you. That'll just amp up your anxiety. That's not worth it.
I'm not drinking alcohol. However, I have already popped 2 gummies because Mama's going to rinse off, finish packing, and snuggle into bed high as a bug in a rug.
That sounds lovely.
So I'm not going to raw dog Ozark Crimes. Like, that's not happening.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not raw dogging the Ozarks. But our sweet, sweet picker has a fave varietal, so I want to learn some shit about it today in honor of Lauren Hancock. Crank your hog, Lauren Hancock.
Oh.
So this is from Food and Wine Magazine, which I fucking love Food and Wine Magazine. It's such an awesome resource. It's so great. It's
beautiful photography.
Beautiful photography, but their wine information is really fucking good, and I feel like it's not so pretentious as to make it inaccessible, which is what I hate. So I pulled a bunch of information about her favorite varietal, which is Montepulciano.
Montepulciano.
Which we're going to have to get some of that in Italy. So Montepulciano wine is a typically red wine crafted from the grape variety of the same name, though it also makes excellent rosé. And I don't think I have ever had a Montepulciano rosé, and now I'm fucking dying to try one. It is most frequently associated with Montepulciano di Abruzzo, which is grown in Abruzzo in east central Italy. And there are examples that are meant to age. So the Montepulciano di Abruzzo Reserva from Caroso is a delicious and cellar-worthy example of a typical varietal that's meant to age. But most of them are so good young, which sounds really gross, but we're talking about wine grapes and aging. Okay, so calm down. That there's generally no need to wait for Montepulciano to age. Like, you don't have to age it to experience all of its depth and complexity, which I think is so cool because I have ADHD and I am not going to just sit on my hands and not drink that bottle of wine for fucking 5 to 10 years because it might taste better.
She's ready to go.
She's ready to go. So it's grown in a lot of different regions of Italy, but outside of Italy, Montepulciano as a grape does really well in Texas for that dry, sandy, like it does really well in this kind of dry, sandy soil. Australia, it does really well. But the vast majority that you're likely to find are from Abruzzo. Like that's the classic. Montepulciano tends to produce wines that shine in their youth. Like I said, just like us, we're now old and gross.
Not shiny.
Yep. It has a nice tannic structure and it's, occasionally a little bit aggressive. It's not super overwhelming with tannins, so you're not going to be like blasted in the mouth. It doesn't tend to require any like that's why it doesn't need a whole lot of aging to like reach its peak and then mellow out. It's really easy to drink and it can be one of the most affordable, like quote unquote fancy Italian reds that you can get. You can often find phenomenal bottles of this wine for less than $20. I'm going to feature a couple different bottles in this segment. One of them will be our like main feature for the day, and that one retails at $15. And if you show up to a dinner party with a fucking sleek and sexy Montepulciano di Abruzzo and you practice saying it, you'll get your hog cranked. People will be so impressed.
They'll be like, I didn't know you were Italian.
I didn't know you were an Italian sommelier. Yeah. Bitch, I have many hobbies.
I'm a winecologist.
I am a winecologist. I love my winecologist sign. Where
Me
is
too.
That? It's somewhere in my office.
It's so good.
But another fun thing about this wine, especially to bring to like a gathering or a dinner, is that it's so pairable. It's not a super robust or like full-bodied red. It has a slightly more delicate palate, but it can still hold its own against some really delicious and like fatty foods. So pizza with like all the toppings or just a good cheese pizza. You could do pepperoni.
Go Italy, a margarita.
Yeah, it'll hold up.
Pizza.
It also pairs really well with pasta. And they specifically like the cheesy pasta. So like a really good Alfredo.
Babe.
It's really good with.
I'm so hungry.
But it can also pair beautifully with a marinara. It has that nice balance of acidity so it can stand up to the acid of tomatoes. But then that acidity also lets you cut the fattiness of cheese. It's like such a versatile, cool fucking wine.
Cool.
So put together a platter of prosciutto, Asiago cheese, Parmesan cheese, or mozzarella, or all of the above. Get like a nice stanky Gouda in there, bread, olive oil, and a Montepulciano. You're fucking done. Date night? Check. Watching The Traitors alone in your pajamas? Check. Okay? Mm-hmm. It is recommended that you chill the bottle a little bit. This tastes like really good at, I'd say, just around that like 50 degree spot.
Cooler than room temp.
No, cooler than room temp, but like cellar temp in that like 50 degrees zone. You're going to get dark cherry, plum, berry notes, like that delicate acidity, some tannins. As it ages, it will get a little bit more savory if you choose to age it. So that might bring out some herbal notes, some olive notes, some leathery notes. But like, it's just a really approachable fruit and food friendly wine. It's delicious.
Dang.
So some of the wines that you could check out, the Cataldi Madonna. This is an over 100-year-old producer. So they have been making this shit in Italy for fucking literally over a century now. Ciavolich. This is family owned since 1853.
Ciavolich. I don't know.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it either, but they are like well known for their Montepulciano di Abruzzo. Dutchman Family Winery makes a great Montepulciano, and this is a Texas winery. So it says Texas may be a long way from Italy, but you wouldn't know it from the excellent Montepulciano produced by winemaker Dave Riley, which tends to lean in the direction of brambly berries and plums cut through with a seam of spice. That sounds so fucking good. And then the one that I am officially pairing for Wine Wednesday because it's so good and it's so affordable. it's also affordable because it's technically a blend, but it still really ticks all the Montepulciano boxes, I promise you. This is the Saldini Pilastri, and this estate has been run by the same family for like thousands of years, which is wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they haven't been making wine necessarily for thousands of years, like on that property, but it like runs in their family. And they do a Rosso Piceno, which is 20% Montepulciano, and then the rest is Sangiovese, which is another one of my favorite varietals. So that's probably why I'm shoving this down your literal throat. This is aged for 4 months in French oak. And then you get that really beautiful cherry hint of flower, and it retails for less than $15 fucking dollars, y'all.
Ooh, that is gals approved.
Gals approved.
Don't give a shit what it tastes like.
No.
That is gals approved.
Is it drinkable and does it get you buzzed? Cool. And it's $15 or less.
Approved.
Fucking cheers to that. But like I said, I'm not actually drinking. This is a fever, what's it called? Fever Tree sparkling pink grapefruit soda.
Ooh, well, I have an
Yeah.
alcoholic drink. I got a high noon vodka soda watermelon.
Yum.
Question
Cheers to
for
you.
you before we pop.
Yeah, babe.
Are blends generally less expensive than like a straight up like one varietal, like a purebred, like a dog, you know?
It entirely depends on what the blend is. So Montepulciano is already not a very expensive grape, it sounds like, as we've gone over. But if you're dealing with like a predominant higher end grape, then it would be more expensive to get the purebred, all that one expensive grape than if you got a blend with that grape maybe being like the feature and then some other comparable and collaborative grapes thrown in there that are less expensive.
Okay.
Because some of the grapes just need so much care and so much, like, so many specific, perfect circumstances for them to thrive that wines that need that kind of grape are gonna be more expensive.
For a future
And the farther that they're
wine,
shipping from.
for a future wine pairing, I would be really interested to know like what varietals are more expensive and like what kinds of blends.
Yes, let's do it.
Because wine prices vary so widely.
They do.
And we've all heard those like anecdotes about like, you know, at blind sommelier taste testing, like cheaper, like $25 bottles test higher like quality and taste than like
a lot of
$200 bottles.
A lot of the price is similar to like designer shit. If the winery is super well known and fancy, how long maybe they've been aging it and the process of that aging, what the vintage is, what year it is, you know, there are so many different factors. Like if there was a specific winery that had an absolutely fucking phenomenal like agricultural year and made some of the best Nebbiolo they've ever fucking produced in their life, you know, you could be looking at a $300 bottle, especially if that bottle is from like 75 years ago or whatever. It's like there's so much shit that factors in.
Mm-hmm.
The varietal alone is definitely not the deciding factor. It can hinge on so much stuff, but we can definitely use a wine segment to dive a little deeper into like wine pricing.
That's fascinating to me.
And why the fuck they do that.
Because it varies so widely and like it seems to be, yeah, like you said, based on so many different factors, but also some of those factors are really fucking stupid and like volatile.
And so much is arbitrary bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look at the fucking stock market. Like one person saying, you know, this specific thing is going to be a huge hit. Everybody should buy into this specific thing. Like there's that kind of influence and reach in the wine world among wine professionals and sommeliers where like if they put their stamp of approval on it and call it the next great old world wine or whatever, that alone can fucking make the price go up because then everybody wants it. The demand's up.
Ridiculous.
It's a pain in the ass. But anyway, I'm not drinking any fucking wine today, so me and my Grimace cup are just gonna fucking
Well, I'm
know.
gonna crack my high noon, so that'll be our sound effect. Here we go.
Oh,
got on my glasses.
Oh, a squirty crack.
It got on my glasses.
She's a spitter.
Yeah, just a little drop. Anyway, nice crack. Cheers.
Nice crack. Cheers to you too, my love.
Well,
okay.
While we get going, should we take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsors?
yeah, let's do that.
Let's. We've got something to celebrate, people.
Woo!
It is Brooklinen's 10-year anniversary, and they're celebrating big by giving you 25% off their award-winning home essentials.
Brooklinen is seriously amazing. I have changed out all of my towels. I have a bunch of their loungewear.
Yeah.
It's like my house is like a hotel. I'm obsessed. We have been partnering with Brooklinen for, 4 or 5 years now?
A long time.
We're always so excited about their products. And Brooklinen started back in 2014, which means they have a decade of home experience. That's like halfway to vintage, baby. Their founders set out to create hotel-grade sheets and ended up creating a product line that has something for every home. 10 years later, Brooklinen is a trusted voice in the home goods space. Their products deliver comfort you can grow with and are perfect for every stage of life, whether you're moving, growing your family, or upgrading your current space. And if you're still not sure where to start, Brooklinen's fan favorite Luxe sheets are truly the Goldilocks of bedding. They provide comfort that's just right. And if you're already a Brooklinen bedding convert, you can also shop their ever-growing home assortment, including robes,
Love the robes,
silk accessories, candles, laundry products. Like I said, the towels. I mean, their stuff is immaculate.
It's luxurious.
Mm-hmm.
There is no better time to shop Brooklinen's home essentials than right now during their 10-year anniversary sale. Shop 25% off site-wide and up to 45% off bundles in-store and online at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com.
Woo!
And treat yo home.
Treat it. Y'all know how much I love Stitch Fix, and with Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you. It's the easiest way to transform or update or just kind of change up your wardrobe this season.
Yeah. Yesterday, I met my friends for brunch.
Mm-hmm.
I had to show off because I was wearing jeans
Yes,
for the
you
first
were.
time in, the pregnancy year.
Mm-hmm.
Got back into those jeans that I got from Stitch Fix,
Ugh.
and I felt amazing. I felt like a new person. I felt like a real adult. I was so put together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't have to pair everything with black leggings, the world is your oyster.
Truly.
And Stitch Fix helped me get there.
Mm-hmm.
My stylist helps take my wardrobe to the next level. She knows what works for me, sometimes even better than I do myself.
Fair.
I had this open back shirt.
Cute.
Can you imagine me with an open back shirt?
I can't stop thinking about it now.
I looked so good.
Stinking cute.
Yeah, so my stylist helps me discover new things about my style that I didn't know was my style till I had it on my bod, and I felt amazing. So it gave me that good confidence boost that you get when you put on a really amazing outfit. And that's what I can expect every time from Stitch Fix. I get so excited when I get my box in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like Christmas.
It is like Christmas and your birthday and just like a big old serotonin boost.
A treat, yeah.
So all you do is give your stylist your size, your style, and your budget preferences. I order boxes when I want to and how I want to. No subscription required.
Mm-hmm.
And then they send me 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling tips. That's like a little pamphlet shows
how to
you
wear
what you
it.
can. Yes.
It's so cute.
It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're these personalized pieces. The fit is flawless. Like I said, denim jeans, people.
Yeah.
It's like she's reading my mind. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to go to the mall. You don't have to shop. You don't have to look in the horrible dressing room mirror.
The bad lighting, the sweating. It's always too hot in there.
The undressing in a public place. I just don't like it.
Not a
so
fan.
that's why I love Stitch Fix. And if you don't love something, you just send it back. They got a cute little prepaid envelope. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free.
Mm-hmm. So for style that makes you feel as good as you look, get started today at stitchfix.com/gals. That's stitchfix.com/gals. One more time, stitchfix.com/gals, and treat your wardrobe.
Straight it. It's almost Mother's Day, people. You're welcome for the reminder.
Yeah.
And as this special day approaches, you've probably been thinking about connecting with your mom or maybe your grandma or another maternal figure in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want her to miss a moment of your life or your kid's life or your family's life or your cat's life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know about you, but every time I talk to my mom, she asks about my cats first and foremost and then
Fair.
the child.
They were there first. They're
They
the first
were-
grandbabies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if it's not like a special component of your life, your day-to-day life is just as important to your mom, and you can share every moment with the skylight frame. It is the perfect Mother's Day gift.
It's truly awesome. The skylight frame is a touchscreen photo frame that your whole family can upload photos to, and they appear in seconds. It's like magic. You get to share your favorite moments with the people that matter most to you. This is the perfect gift for moms, grandmoms, you know, all the moms in your life. Anyone can send photos to the frame in just seconds via email or the app, so it's a great way to keep in touch with friends and family. It's like a personal, family-only, like private social media situation.
It's
so
everything
cool.
that you want it to be. It's perfect.
It's also super simple to use. The setup takes less than 60 seconds, and even the least tech-savvy can use it. Like
my grandma set it up by herself. I was so proud.
If she can do it, and this is no dig on your grandma, but if she can do it, anyone can do it.
True.
It also is so sleek. Like, it's not bulky. It looks like just a real photo frame that adds a beautiful touch to your home. It holds thousands of photos that continuously rotate through and bring daily joy. And the skylight frame has a gorgeous touchscreen and comes in 2 sizes. So you can go with the original 10-inch, which is what I have, or what I want is the newer 15-inch gallery frame. And you can swipe through the photos with your finger and even tap the heart button to thank the person who sent it to you. It's so cute. And you have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love your skylight, they'll offer you a full refund.
As a special limited time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/wine. That's skylightframe.com/WINE. Mother's Day is coming right up, so order today and get 15% off your purchase at skylightframe.com/wine and treat your mom.
Treat her. Okay, welcome back. And I'm excited. Lucy has been dropping me little like hints that I'm going to really love her segment this week.
My segment is all over the fucking place. Like, you're going to feel whiplash by the time I'm done.
Or I'm going to follow it perfectly and it's going to nestle in my ADHD mind like a perfect puzzle piece fit.
That indeed might happen.
But there's only one way to find out. So, actually, Lucy, what's our background in psych for Ozark Crimes?
Well, first, despite the whiplash, there actually is no psych. So...
And I want to believe that that's because the psychology of the people of the Ozark region is far too complex for us to break apart in 20 minutes.
It is complex, and also the Ozark region is a huge region.
It's massive.
And we'll get to it. I have a map. Okay.
Thank God, because I get the Ozarks mixed up with the Appalachians all the time.
They're pretty much right next to each other.
I know, but I never know what's what. So I'm really glad you have a map.
Ozarks are more like, well, we'll get to it. They're a little more bland. They're like less severe. They're like
the mountains, not the
people.
They're
like more plateaus.
Are the Ozarks or Appalachia where the scary murderers in Deliverance are from?
Appalachia.
Okay. All right. But like same family,
same
different
vibe.
Trees.
Yeah, this is definitely the same vibe. Okay. So the Ozarks.
Same lake, different boats.
Different pontoons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Ozarks, also known as the Ozark Mountains, the Ozark Highlands, or Ozark Plateau, are 3 separate and distinct plateaus in a physiographic region in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and the southeastern corner of Kansas.
Missouri, and Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. It's a big region. The plateaus differ in topography, geology, vegetation, land use, history, and culture because it's such a huge fucking area.
Is there a topography map on here? No, it's just a regular boring fucking map.
I mean, I didn't know that you wanted a topographical map.
I'll find it. You keep going.
I'm kind of about to verbally illustrate the topography.
You know, I need to see them.
I know you do. Your beautiful mind. The Ozark region extends over 93 counties in 4 different states with a total area of approximately 47,104 square miles, which is a little bit bigger than the state of Pennsylvania.
So this entire region, and yeah, Pennsylvania is massive.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. The United States is really fucking big, you guys.
I mean,
It's really big.
it's all relative.
Yeah. But
then,
as like a single country goes, it's a big place.
it's pretty big for a country.
Yeah.
But then a lot of countries, I mean, a lot of continents don't have countries, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just, yeah.
Wait, did I say that right? A lot of continents
don't
don't
know.
have countries?
No,
I'm
almost
thinking of,
every
like-
continent has countries. You mean a lot of countries don't have states?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I got you.
Whatever. Let's just move on. I don't
Guys,
fucking know.
we're fine.
I'm fine.
I'm putting so many maps on here.
Okay. A little bit bigger than Pennsylvania. The majority of the region falls in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. So there's just like little ekes out into Oklahoma and Kansas.
It's got tails
Mm-hmm.
and bumps.
The Ozarks are subdivided into 4 smaller regions. This is the map that I have on the drive, which will be on the blog. So you have the Springfield Plateau, which is on the south and west. The Boston Mountains, which is along the southern border.
Mm-hmm.
And those are also like the highest peaks. Those are like the most mountainous part of the Ozarks. The Salem Plateau, which is the largest like central swath. And the St. Francois Mountains, which is like this little pocket within the Salem Plateau. And the reason why this exists is because it's a region of higher elevation, because it was formed 1.5 billion years ago as like a little pocket of volcanoes where like the magma pushed up. So it is its own little region just because it's like a higher altitude in the middle of the Salem Plateau. But basically the Ozarks are just a region of like generally higher elevation that has different, obviously, topography, different ecosystems, different wildlife, different vegetation, whatever, because it's like just a little bit
There's
higher,
a lot going on up there.
more rugged. There's a lot of like caves and springs. We're going to get to it. So,
Caves.
the caves.
Oh, God.
This region enjoys a relatively cool and temperate climate, fresh mountain air, and pristine lakes and rivers. The ruggedness of the Boston Plateau has limited people's ability to develop the region for agriculture, transportation, urbanization, or other uses because of like its mountains.
Yeah.
Croplands and pastures are concentrated in wider valleys or on level mountaintops, like those plateaus. There's lots of springs, lots of sinkholes, lots of caves.
Sinkholes?
Sinkholes.
I mean, I guess you're going to get sinkholes when you have caves and water running underground.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I just...
It's a creepy area of the country.
I have
creepy.
definitely found myself on like Ozark and Appalachia TikTok before, where they talk about like not trusting sounds or voices you hear coming from the woods and not like answering them. It like mimics and
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get to it.
No, Lucy just hacks like my TikTok FYP that gives me like the most anxiety, and then it's like, oh yeah, someone definitely fanficked Ozark Crimes. I swear I did not concoct this at all, so that I could talk to you about cryptids and scare the shit out of you. Great,
I got you. Okay. So these caves and small streams fed by the springs in the area are known to support species that are vulnerable to extinction. I don't know why I can't talk right now.
You're doing
But
great.
you talk about cryptids, but it's also like a space where, like I said, like kind of a unique ecology.
Yeah.
So there are very specific species that live.
It's the last of their kind.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't find them anywhere else.
So, for example, the Ozark cave fish and the Ozark big-eared bat.
I don't need any of these things. Those are real? Those aren't cryptids?
Those are real things. A cave fish.
Are there photos on the drive?
No, because I forgot to Google it, but I will let
I'm
you
on
Google it.
Cave fish and big-eared bat?
Yep. Geographic features include limestone and dolomite glades. So a glade is like a rocky desert-like area on top of a hilltop, like a plateau.
Ugh.
Kept open by periodic fires that limit growth of grasses and flowers in shallow soil, glades are home to collared lizards, tarantulas, scorpions, cacti, and other species more typical of the desert Southwest.
That's what I was literally just going to say. This sounds like Arizona.
Yeah, but it's
and
not.
Arizona is
it's
crazy
fucking
like
Missouri.
But Arizona's crazy like that too, where like you'll be in the desert and then you're like heading up to the Grand Canyon and then you're driving through this lush forest that has like snow, but 45 minutes to an hour ago were in Phoenix and it was 80 degrees.
And there's lizards.
And there's fucking lizards and cacti. And then like as you're driving north from Phoenix, the cacti change and stop. And then suddenly you start getting like brush and trees. It's shocking.
Yeah.
And you're
Isn't
in the
it
same
cool?
state.
I think it's
Nature
so cool.
is fucking dope, dude. Okay, big-eared bat is cute as shit. You're about to lose your fucking mind. Telling you right now, though, cavefish, not great.
Do they have white eyes?
I don't even think they have eyes. 0 points for cavefish, all the points for big-eared bat.
Okay,
They're
did
going
you
up
upload
right
them?
now.
Oh
They're
my
going
God,
up.
I can't
They're up.
wait.
They're up.
Big-eared bat, you're so cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, big-eared bat.
I know. I love the
I wonder why they
floofy
call
one
it that. Just kidding. Their ears are the length of their bodies.
of their body. Literally, that's not a joke.
Oh my God, they're so cute. Their eyes are so small.
They have a little tufted scarf on.
They have like a
Permanent
nose on
tufted
the top
cowl.
of their head.
This animal looks like fucking Beans, is what this animal looks like.
Totally.
That's Beans' face.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. The smushed in nose.
Now,
And yeah, this cavefish, that is
not
a-
great.
it just looks like a used condom.
It's small, too. Like, much like a used condom. That's not a big... I know that I don't have anything for scale in those photos because I'm an asshole and I didn't upload those ones because they weren't creepy enough. But this is a small fish. It's like bigger than a minnow, but it's smaller than like, I'd say it's a little bit more like a goldfish or a koi in that range.
It's the size, shape, and color and texture of a used condom.
It literally is. It's like clear and you can see like goop inside of it. It's quite literally a swimming used condom. This thing is nasty as fuck.
Maybe
And
we
it
should
has,
just let it go extinct.
honestly, and like gun to my head, couldn't find the eyes on this fucking thing.
No.
Bye.
No.
Boo.
Hate it. Boo. Do the sound
Boo.
effect.
Oh shit, you're right. Fuck you, cavefish. Fuck you, man.
Big-eared bat. Eh.
Oh.
Big-eared bat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, big-eared bat. I'd like to thank God. Never in a million years thought I would get this award.
Never in 5.6 million years would I have gotten here.
I'm almost extinct, but this was worth it.
This was worth it. All that hard
This
work
was
paid
worth
off.
it. Now we can finally go extinct. We've arrived.
You love me. You really love me. Okay.
Okay, I need someone to animate a little scene of an Ozark big-eared bat winning an Oscar.
Accepting an Oscar.
Gonna need that.
The ears just take up the whole stage.
Gonna need that. This is not negotiable. Someone out there animates in their
God.
spare time. Don't pretend you fucking don't.
No. Okay, so the toponym, and I had to Google toponym, but it's a name sort of like the Netherlands or
Oh,
the
okay.
Alps, but the Ozarks may derive from an English language adaptation of the French abbreviation Ozarks, AUXARCS, which is short for the
Of.
French of, at, or to the Arkansas people or the Quapaw people.
Okay.
In the decades prior to the French and Indian War of 1754 to 1763, Ozarkansas referred to France's trading posts at the Arkansas Post, which was located in the wooded Arkansas Delta lowland area above the confluence of the Arkansas River and the Mississippi River. Other possible etymological origins include the French Aux Arcs, A-R-C-S, meaning land of the arches. And that's in reference to the dozens of natural bridges formed by erosion and collapsed caves, again with the caves, in the Ozark region.
Holy shit.
So it was probably both of those things.
I'm not going to lie, though. Sounds gorgeous.
Oh, have you ever been to Arkansas or like Eureka Springs?
No.
Oof. It is a beautiful area.
It sounds stunning.
Mm-hmm. So by the early 20th century, the name Ozarks was common parlance, but it definitely came from some kind of French O's, A-U-X, O's, Arcs. Whether the Arcs was for the Quapaw people, like the people who lived there, or the name for arches. So the Lake of the Ozarks, which is located in south central Missouri, I've been there, is one of the largest man-made lakes in the country. It's impounded by...
That's like a fancy... that used to be like fancy resorts, right?
It's right next to Branson, Missouri. And we'll kind of get to that. But Branson was sort of like where we went on this family vacation. And it was, there's lots of like honky tonk style, like culture. It's very like Southern lakeside houseboats, bush light, men in tank tops, pontoons, jet skis.
I feel like though back in the day, it was like a little bit more of an like the man-made lake. I think was like partly made to have these like higher class resorts for Americans, and then that kind of went out of fashion.
Well, the man-made lake was made to feed into the Bagnell Dam, which provided hydroelectric power to St. Louis. So they dug out this huge lake, and I'm sure that they factored in tourism and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't recall when the lake was actually made. But nowadays, it's very much like, I don't even know if you call it like Southern culture. It's like Northern Southern culture. It's Missouri.
Well, 'cause isn't Dirty Dancing, isn't the like cute little summer camp she goes to where she gets preg?
No, I think that's in it's in upstate New York.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's Catskills.
Yeah, that was the Catskills.
Okay, but it's like similar vibe.
It's a very similar vibe. Yeah, lots of camping, lots of outdoor recreation, water sports, shit like that. If you have a lot of money, you stay in a certain area. If you don't have a lot of money, you stay in a different area. But this lake covers an area of 93 square miles, and the lake itself is approximately 90 miles long. So it's a really long...
It's huge!
It's enormous. It has a shoreline of more than 1,100 miles.
What?
Shitload of recreation, a lot of tourism, a lot of like rental properties and like rental boats and shit like that. Yeah. It's a fun place to go to like hang out on the lake. It's too close to Branson for my liking, but we'll get there.
Oh God.
In the late 19th century, like I mentioned, Eureka Springs developed along the Missouri and North Arkansas Railroad as a tourist attraction known for its healing springs.
Okay.
So the Native Americans...
Are they like hot springs, or are they just like little waterfalls?
They're
or
just
like
like
little creeks and...
clear, fresh springs. I don't think they're hot springs. They're just like like fresh water springs. So Native Americans revered the area for the sacred powers of its many natural springs. Then in 1856, Dr. Alva Jackson happened upon what is now Basin Spring and claimed that the waters there had healed his eyes.
Oh, for God's sakes.
No
white
further
boy. Get
information.
the fuck out of here.
I know. During the Civil War, he established a quote-unquote hospital in a local cave and treated his patients with the spring water. Afterward, he began selling it as Dr. Jackson's eye water. Dr. Jackson's eye water.
God. Fucking ew, dude.
Ew is right.
That is the grossest 4 words I've ever heard in a row.
Dr. Jackson's eye water.
Jackson's eye water.
It was probably just like a little dropper with like just raw spring water.
If we ever put out a line
You're
of wine
blind?
and crime,
Here you
well, I want to put out a line of wine and crime fragrances. We've got Dr. Jackson's eye water,
Princess Amanda's
Hog Girl,
pit water, Hog Girl.
Pit water.
We are not coming up with new merch items on the spot.
And dump bucket, or spit bucket for the wine.
Oh, spit bucket. I like that.
I'm just saying, Hog Girl and spit bucket have legs.
They do.
Dr. Jackson's eye water, not sure how that's going to sell. That's a men's fragrance.
Well, I think it made him a lot of money.
I'm sure it did.
Oh my God. Speaking of men, I saw.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Boo! I saw a meme yesterday that said, all seagulls are boys. Girls would never do that. I think I put it on my story.
You did.
It makes no sense, but
Girls would never do
makes
that.
all the sense. Girls would never do that.
It doesn't make no sense. Have you ever met a New Jersey seagull?
I've met many seagulls. Yes.
Those fuckers are ruthless.
They're all boys.
Monsters.
They're all boys.
You're right.
Girls would
never do that. Fuck no. Girls would never. Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Okay. Back to the eye water. Okay.
Well,
back to Eureka Springs, which is actually a really beautiful town and like a weirdly like gay haven. There's like there's like a big like gay subculture in Eureka Springs.
I love it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So while the railroad eventually failed, Eureka Springs has remained a tourist attraction. If you're driving into Eureka Springs, specifically from the north, the way that I drove into Eureka Springs,
you have a lot of trauma around Eureka Springs.
you might notice a 65-foot tall Jesus Christ called the Christ of the Ozarks.
No, like a Rio type Jesus just overlooking.
It's a mini Rio Jesus, but it has like a cartoony like head. It's done really poorly. There's a photo on the drive, which will be on the blog.
It's done really poorly.
It is. It looms above the space where the, quote, Great Passion Play is put on several times a week during the spring, summer, fall months every year.
It's too boxy. He has no hips.
He has no shape. I don't think it's done very well is the problem.
I don't think it's done. There's a lot to be chiseled out of here.
This is some crazy horse shit.
God.
Okay, so where they put on this Great Passion Play, capital GPP, it's a whole compound. So also on the grounds is the Holy Land Tour. Keep in mind, this is in Arkansas. The Holy Land Tour, the Moses Tabernacle in the Wilderness.
I hate a tabernacle. Never trust a tabernacle.
Never. A section of the Berlin Wall.
What?
Necessary, relevant, I guess. The Church in the Grove, the Bible Museum, the History Museum.
Oh,
no further description. And the Sacred Arts Museum.
Sacred seems pertinent here.
Yeah. The God With Us movie.
It's just one movie that just plays in the town every day?
Bitch, I don't know any more than you do. I took this off of their website.
This is terrifying.
The Noah's Ark Park Petting Zoo, plus some capital HT hiking trails and capital MBT mountain bike trails.
I hate everything about this boxy ass Jesus and the fuckwits that built him. I hate it. 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 I hate it.
And it just if you, okay, so Eureka Springs, it's built on like a really steep hill. So the main streets like pretty much just like zigzag up this really steep hill.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you're anywhere like halfway or more up the hill, you can see this Jesus because it's like illuminated 24/7.
Oh.
It's so bizarre.
Egregious.
It's weird.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
That said, Eureka Springs is a really fun town. It's super duper old. They have these old springs. There's like a diner that you can go to that has like a plexiglass floor where like the springs are actively running underneath it.
Oh, cool.
That's kind of fun. My friend CG got married just outside of Eureka Springs a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that the church in the Grove?
That's not the church in the Grove, but that is that big glass.
Yeah.
I would hesitate to even call it a chapel, but it's this big glass A-frame building in the middle of the woods. That's where they got married, and it was absolutely gorgeous.
Stunning.
But Eureka Springs is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a lot of crystals and stones and shit. It's a good place for that kind of stuff. Okay. So now I get to what Amanda was waiting for.
I thought you'd forget.
A few Ozarks legends. I was hoping you'd forget.
I thought you'd forget what we were doing here altogether.
No, never. So first we have the Wizard of Oto. Between 1929 and 1931, a man named Omar Palmer arrived by train in Crane, Missouri, and established the first of 3 medical clinics in the community of Oto.
And he was a wizard?
OTO. Well, they call him a wizard, and I'll tell you why. After a few years, Palmer treated up to 200 patients per day at his clinic for free. And there was a lot of mystery surrounding his past. He did not like photos taken of him. He avoided questions about his past.
If I was giving out free medicinal rub and tugs, I probably wouldn't want anybody knowing, taking my picture either.
Well,
this guy seems shady.
He was like helping people. That's why people kept
so he's
coming
not
to
shady.
him.
He's like legitimately treating people.
I mean, he's
not just
shady, but
this isn't like a scam. He's not like trying to hurt people. He's like actually contributing to his community like this.
From what I understand, yes, he was actually helping people and helping his community. But
cool. Okay. All right. I'll change my tune on him.
He didn't like pictures taken of him. He also didn't like people even describing his appearance. He never showed anyone any proof of holding a medical degree. And in fact, in July of 1933, Palmer was arrested for practicing medicine without proper paperwork, but his charges were dropped because no one could prove that he accepted any payments for his services.
Oh,
he was just helping people in need. So it wasn't a grifting thing. It wasn't a scam because he wasn't getting paid for it. He was just...
That's wild.
Yeah, so that's why they called him the Wizard of Oto. And it was only for like a 3-year period.
Was he like effective in his treatments of people, or
I think
was
so.
there like a list of fatalities?
I think there's limited information because he forbade people from talking about him. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But it was just sort of like more like a legend thing.
Okay.
So on with the legends, we have the Blue Man of Spring Creek.
No,
Blue Man
group. The whole group.
In 1865, hunter Saul Collins was hunting between Big North Fork and Spring Creek. He saw footsteps resembling that of a bear and followed said footsteps for hours, like footprints. While climbing a mountain, a boulder came rolling down at him, but Collins leapt behind a tree and evaded the boulder. Then a second boulder and a third boulder came crashing down. And when Collins finally peeked out from behind the tree, he saw a gigantic figure shaped like a man, naked except with animal skin around his waist and feet. So he had like underwear and shoes on.
Panties and Uggs.
And his body was covered from head to toe in a coat of short black hair that looked blue when the sun shone on it. So that reminded me of like a black bear coat pelt.
Yeah.
Collins claims that this guy was no shorter than 9 feet tall.
No. And was he pushing the rocks?
So the blue man threw one more boulder at Collins, and Collins
blue man
screamed and fled. But then after he got far enough away that he was out of danger, he looped back and tracked the creature with his neighbors for about a week. Because, you can like track big animals like that for like a really long time.
Yeah.
They never found him, but they did claim that he was responsible for the disappearance of many sheep and pigs.
So like they never found him, but there are other people in the region who had claimed to have seen him as well.
Yes, there have been sightings since then. So like a big, tall, hairy, furry man throwing boulders
in little panties and Uggs.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Then we have the Ozark Howler. So this creature is usually described as the size of a bear with a thick body, stocky legs, black, shaggy hair, and horns. Its cry is described as combining a wolf's howl and an elk's bugle.
Oh. Yum, I want bugles.
Oh, God, yes. I want to put them on my fingertips.
I love doing that with bugles.
It was seen between 2005 and 2010, so fairly recently.
Yeah, that's not that long ago.
After spotting it, a family in Van Buren in the Boston Mountains of Crawford County set out trail cams, believing it to be a cougar. But the only problem is that there are no breeding populations of cougars in Arkansas. So it definitely wasn't a cougar.
Yeah.
So that's the Ozark Howler. And then we have, last but not least, well, this is related. When Scottish, Irish, Welsh, and English settlers settled in the Ozark Plateau in the 1800s, they brought along their ancestral stories and myths. One story was that of the Cutest, a mythological hound feared as the harbinger of death.
Puppy!
Cutie.
That's how I would end up. Puppy! I'm the harbinger of death. No, you're a good boy.
Good boy.
Come here, good boy. Puppy.
They believe that the hound would come to take the soul of a people of a person to the afterlife. Some people think that these folktales may have resulted in the lore of the Ozark Howler, but I mean, given the fact that this latest sighting of the Howler was between 2005 and 2010, I'm inclined to believe that it's something else.
The Howler feels different.
The Howler feels more modern and a little bit scarier. Okay, so this brings me to the second half of my case.
Oh, you did say that it was going to be all over the place.
It's all over the place, and I did include a little mini case for us because... Okay, so I mentioned Lake of the Ozarks. I mentioned going to the city of Branson, which is very, like, country music and, Bass Pro Shops and, shit like that.
It's a patriotic place.
So I Googled Branson murder, and I found a case which... It's so bizarre that I had to include it, but technically this did not happen in the Ozarks. It's possible that it ended in the Ozarks.
Okay,
but
that counts.
The link to it is very close, so I'm including it, so you're just going to deal with it.
Yes.
Okay, so
it's your show, baby. Go off.
Branson Kane Perry was born on February 24th, 1981. He was a Pisces.
Aww.
He was raised in Skidmore, Missouri, which is in like northwest Missouri, whereas the Ozarks sort of start in like south central Missouri.
Sure.
So it's not terribly far away, but it's not technically Ozarks, but there's a later connection that, whatever. That's the tenuous connection that the Ozarks has to this case, and I'm doing it anyway.
Great. I love it.
Branson graduated from Nottoway Holt High School in 1999. After working as a roofer for some time, he lost his job and helped with a traveling petting zoo while he looked for another job. There's a picture of him with like a goat from the petting zoo. It's really cute.
It's giving Joe Exotic with the traveling petting zoo, but it's very cute.
He's
it's
20.
Sweet.
He's 20 years old. It's like a local thing, and I think he was like volunteering for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Though Branson suffered from a condition called tachycardia, which makes his heart race excessively. He was a very active young man. He had a black belt in Hapkido, which is a form of Korean martial arts.
Yeah.
I think he worked out. He was just like a very active. I mean, he did these very physical jobs. In 2001, his parents were recently divorced, and Branson was living in Skidmore, Missouri with his dad, whose name was Bob. On April 7th, 2001, Brandon was hanging out with his friend and neighbor, Jason Bierman, who allegedly gave him some kind of drug. It's unclear what kind of drug this was, and also unclear whether Branson knew that he was ingesting it.
Okay.
But
so he might have been drugged, or he may have taken them with consent.
Exactly.
After being offered. Okay.
But
we don't know.
We don't know. While intoxicated, he allegedly danced around the house naked. He shaved his pubic hair, and then he engaged in sexual acts with Jason, who I think was his same age.
Okay.
Branson's dad, Bob, later said that he knew that his son was gay. He knew that he had had like previous sexual encounters.
Okay.
Also unclear whether he knew he was gay before this incident, but I think that was the case. He already knew that.
And when they say engage in sexual activities while he was like at this party or high or whatever, were these consensual, or was he assaulting people at this gathering?
Well, I think it was just the two of them, and it's unclear.
Oh, okay.
And it's unclear whether it was consensual because Branson did tell his dad what happened. And Bob, the dad, was furious with Jason, the neighbor, for, quote, drugging and then using his son.
Okay.
And then threatened to, quote, teach him a lesson.
Oh, dear.
But as far as we know, there was no confrontation that ever actually took place between Bob, the dad, and Jason, the neighbor.
Okay.
But at least Branson was open about this incident with his father.
Yep.
And this also speaks to some drug use, which we'll come back to later.
Okay.
4 days later, on April 11th, 2001, Branson invited his friend Jenna Crawford over to his house to help him clean up while his dad, Bob, was in the hospital. I'm not sure what Bob was in the hospital for, but he was in the hospital for, sounds like at least a week or so.
Wow.
At this time, on April 11th, 2 mechanics were also at the house, and they were replacing the alternator on Bob's car. One source said that Jenna reported seeing Branson in the house grabbing something out of a cabinet and then going outside and then coming back inside. And she was like, "What was that?" And he was like, "Whatever, nothing." He didn't tell her what that was all about.
Okay.
And then a little while later, she like went upstairs and like took a shower because they were like cleaning the house or whatever. I mean, they must have been comfortable enough to be doing this. This wasn't like a thing that popped up as weird, but went upstairs, took a shower, came back down. Then she saw one of the mechanics who had been working on the alternator in the driveway in the kitchen rifling through a cabinet, unclear whether it was the same cabinet. And then when she asked him what he was looking for, he just said, "Oh, it's nothing." And then he left the house.
So she got like 2 rifling incidents with a "don't worry about it" response when she was like, "What are you doing?"
Yes. And then she went back upstairs. She was like hanging out in like possibly Branson's bedroom. And then she was kind of like looking outside the window or whatever. And this was at about 3 p.m. She saw Branson like walking away from the house, and she like called out the window like, hey, where are you going? And he said, I'm just running out to this shed to return some jumper cables, to put some jumper cables away at this
What the fuck
shed.
was he doing with jumper cables?
Well, I think he was probably helping the mechanics with the alternator
Okay.
jumper cables. I don't know. They were also just cleaning up the house.
Okay.
He just had jumper cables, and he was going to put them away in the shed, which was like in the corner of the yard, or like maybe like farther away on the property. It's a fairly rural area. It's a pretty small town.
Yep.
But yeah, he was just like, I'm putting these jumper cables away. I'll be right back. But Branson was never seen again.
What?
Apparently, Jenna just went home when he didn't come back. She just left. I didn't get any answers about that, but she was later questioned.
Jenna's sus.
It's kind of sus. The next day, April 12th, Branson's grandma, whose name was Joanne, stopped by the house to find it unlocked, and there was nobody home. She knew that Bob was in the hospital. She's like, what? I don't know why Branson's not here, you know? So she thought this was odd, but she left figuring that he was just out, and she called the house a couple times over the next few days to try to get a hold of Branson.
And he was never there.
But nobody ever answered.
Wow.
During this time, she contacted Branson's mother, who also hadn't heard from him. Again, the parents are divorced.
Yep.
Branson's living with his dad, but the mother was like, I haven't heard from him in the in the last few days or whatever. Bob, the father, was finally discharged from the hospital, and together with Joanne, they filed a missing person report. Some articles said April 17th, some said April 16th, but it was roughly 6 days after Branson had last been seen.
Wow.
So it's kind of a long time. At first, Bob thought that Branson had hitchhiked to Kansas City because he didn't have his own car. But they knew that he had friends in Kansas City, and he's also like a young gay man. He's 20 years old at this point in a really small town. He probably went to Kansas City like kind of frequently.
Yeah, well, yeah, to engage with other people that are queer that he wasn't able to like engage with in his community.
Yeah, so his dad was like, his dad was like, he probably went to Kansas City, but he didn't take any of his personal belongings. So the investigators were like, that's probably not what happened. Not. So they started to suspect foul play.
Oh, shoot.
A search party was formed to search within a 15-mile radius of the residence. During a search of the property, police were unable to locate the jumper cables that Branson had purportedly left to return to the shed.
The whole reason for walking over there.
However, 2 weeks later, they did find the jumper cables just inside the door, which totally gave me Stephen Avery vibes. Blowpoke, Stephen Avery, the car keys, Teresa Hallbach's car keys.
Yeah, this is some blowpoke bullshit happening right here. I don't like it.
Over the next month and a half, over 100 people were interviewed by detectives. Jenna herself admitted to law enforcement that Branson had recently been experimenting with marijuana and amphetamines, and his aunt later confirmed that he did have a drug problem, and in fact, he had been planning on going to rehab like pretty soon after recently, the day that he went missing.
Okay. Probably in response to the incident with the neighbor.
Possibly, yes. A family member also informed police that Branson had a bottle of Valium in his possession on the day that he disappeared. And again, we don't know what he got out of the cabinet. We don't know what the mechanic was looking for in the cabinet. Could have very logically been drug-related. Law enforcement questioned other drug acquaintances of his in the nearby, like, larger town of St. Joseph, but all of them stated that they had not seen him, and all of them passed a polygraph, so that was just like a dead end. Yeah,
which, like, polygraph is BS, but...
It's iffy, but also, like, if you're a drug dealer, you're... I feel like you'd be inclined to fail a polygraph if you were given one. I don't know. It's not like you're a professional...
crime boss.
Yeah. Further investigation into the local drug trade was undertaken, but no discernible leads were uncovered despite rumors that Branson owed drug money to someone.
Okay, so that could be the explanation for...
Yeah, and another thing that I just was thinking about, like,
I feel
a
like
lot
we
of...
always default to that shit. Communities are like, oh, he was on drugs. It must have been drug deal gone wrong or drug lord caught up with him, and it gets kind of overplayed.
I don't know that it does get overplayed necessarily because there are so many drug problems in small Midwestern towns like this.
For sure.
And if you're a small community and everyone knows everyone,
Mm-hmm.
I actually think you'd be less likely to get information out of any one person because it's so tight-knit.
Like such a closed community.
And like everyone has shit on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if everyone has a loved one who's hooked on the drugs from the same people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? There's just more
a lot of layers.
Social blackmail almost that comes into play with the smaller these towns get.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of amphetamine use in the rural Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows? Okay, so here's where shit gets real wild. This is from All That's Interesting.
Ugh, your fave.
In 2003, a promising suspect appeared in a rather gruesome way. It all started when a former Presbyterian minister and Boy Scout leader
Oh, no.
named...
Oh, no.
Yeah, also just content warning.
Mm.
A man named Jack Wayne Rogers was arrested for separate crimes that had nothing to do with Branson initially.
Mm-hmm.
After attempting to perform sex reassignment surgery on a trans woman in a hotel room in Columbia, Missouri, that resulted...
When was this?
This was in 2003.
Holy shit.
And then said, quote unquote, surgery led to this woman bleeding to death in a hotel room.
This is why trans healthcare and gender affirming care are so fucking vital.
Yep. So you don't have a Presbyterian minister doing
offering
this.
You hotel surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
So she ended up bleeding to death. Jack Wayne Rogers was charged with first-degree assault and practicing medicine without a license. Mm-hmm. But when the authorities searched his belongings, they discovered evidence of even more disturbing crimes on his computer. So not only did they find CSAM, they also came across highly distressing online posts under usernames such as Buggerbutt, Oh Hail Satan, and Extreme Body Mods as like his usernames. These posts described the rape, torture, and murder of several men. And in some cases, Rogers had even talked about cannibalizing severed genitals.
Oh my God.
Perhaps the most shocking was the post about murdering a blonde hitchhiker and burying him in the Ozarks. That's my only tie here.
Oh, shit. That could be...
Mm-hmm. And we talked about how rugged this landscape was and like how there's caves and sinkholes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
When questioned about this, Jack Wayne Rogers claimed that the post was a work of fiction and denied ever meeting Branson. But police did find a turtle claw necklace in Rogers's car, which looked a hell of a lot like one of Branson's necklaces. However, none of this sufficed as hard evidence, and they didn't actually get to nail this guy on Branson's disappearance and murder.
Yeah, because that is circumstantial.
Yeah. In 2004, Jack Wayne Rogers was only convicted of assault, illegal surgery, child pornography, and obscenity. He received only a 17-year sentence for assault, 7 years for illegal surgery, and 30 years for child pornography and obscenity. But it was never confirmed that he had anything to do with Branson's disappearance, like I said. Branson's mother waited for answers regarding her son, but she was eventually convinced that Rogers was innocent of abducting him. She said, quote, "In my heart, I don't believe this suspect is responsible." Branson's dad, Bob, Father Bob, died in 2004, and his mother died of melanoma in 2011. And in her obituary, it was noted that she was, quote, "preceded in death by Branson." And she was buried, this is so heartbreaking. She was buried beside an empty plot for him that she just saved for him that lists his date of death as April 11th, 2001, which was the day he disappeared.
That's so sad.
So this is so fucking weird. Coincidentally, or maybe not, but probably coincidentally, one more reason not to move to Skidmore, Missouri.
Ooh.
Branson's cousin, Bobby Joe Stinnett, was also involved in a high-profile murder in Skidmore, Missouri. So Bobby Joe was 23 years old and pregnant in December of 2004, and she was chatting regularly and emailing with this woman that she met in an online chat room that was devoted to dog show events and specifically rat terriers.
Oh, dear.
This chat room was called Ratter Chatter.
No. The
woman was named Lisa Marie Montgomery, and she told Bobby Joe that she was also pregnant. So they were like sending emails back and forth like, "Oh, how are you in your pregnancy? Blah, 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 blah."
Womb Raider.
Okay, so we didn't cover her in Womb Raiders. I double checked, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about her before because there's a photo on the you will recognize her.
Okay.
Lisa Montgomery drove 2.5 hours from her home in Melbourne, Kansas to Skidmore, Missouri, where Bobby Joe raised rat terriers with her husband.
I definitely recognize Bobby Joe. This may have been on a TLC show or something.
Yeah.
Or a Discovery show.
So she shows up at their house under the guise of checking out some rat terrier puppies under a different name.
Oh, God.
She strangles Bobby Joe to death. She cuts her baby out of her womb, and then she flees back to Kansas with the child, who did survive, by the way.
Wow.
Bobby Joe did not, but she was almost to term, and I don't know, somehow the child did survive.
I mean, that's a miracle.
So she drove home and told her husband that, surprise, she had the baby while she was out running errands. Okay, we have a baby now, because she told her husband that she was pregnant. She was telling everyone in her life that she was pregnant, but she was obviously not. So the cops caught her because of substantial evidence on their computers. The baby was rescued and sent to live with its father. Lisa was convicted and sentenced to death, and she was executed by lethal injection on January 13th, 2021.
Wow.
So that's just a little sad. That was Branson's cousin. Bobby Joe was Branson's cousin.
That's so sad. There's so much violent trauma in that family.
Yeah. Okay, so quick back to Branson. On October 14th, 2022, the current Nottoway County Sheriff named Randy Strong announced a suspect had been identified, but more evidence was needed before an arrest could be made.
Okay. So we might get some updates.
It seems to me that this was all related to a money drug issue, which again, rural Missouri, it
can happen.
There's a fuckload of drug issues. But if you have any information or want to just stay on top of any updates, you can visit bringbransonhome.wordpress.com. That's the website that his mom has passed away. But it's the website that I believe his family maintains now. But so it's a little bit of background about the Ozarks.
Wow.
And,
holy shit.
A couple of really intense cases happening near the Ozarks.
You were not kidding when you said your notes were all the fuck over the place.
All the fuck over the place.
All right, well, let's take a quick breather and then come back and dive into something different.
Please, let's.
I have fallen in love with IQ Bar, and I'm telling you, you got to join me in powering up your life with superior brain and body nutrition products from IQ Bar. This stuff is so delicious and so easy. And I love it because it doesn't have a ton of carbs. I feel like a lot of kind of like breakfast type bars or, you know, these protein bars can be really high in carbohydrates. And I'm diabetic, so I, you know, try not to go there. But their plant-based protein bars are the perfect low-carb grab-and-go breakfast. Or for me, I just have these in my purse.
I need a snack.
When I need a snack, I'm also obsessed with their IQ Mix Zero Sugar Hydration drinks. You know, my relationship with water is not stellar. And it's hard for me to find things that will incentivize me to drink water that aren't also full of sugar. So this has like completely changed the game for me for my hydration. It helps replenish electrolytes lightning fast. And they even have these really cool IQ Joe mushroom coffees that are packed with magnesium and lion's mane adaptogen to keep you focused all day long without like the super acidic kind of jittery slap that coffee gives you. Mm-hmm. It's been a huge game changer. And you don't have to just take it from me. They have over 10,000 5-star reviews and counting.
Start each day right with IQ bars, brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all 3. So get 7 IQ bar flavors, 4 IQ mix flavors, and 4 IQ Joe flavors. And today our listeners get an exclusive offer of 20% off plus free shipping. Just text GALS to 64,000. So like Amanda was saying, these are changing the game. All IQ Bar products are entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners. Like, what's in them is...
It's like blueberries.
Yeah.
And things you can pronounce.
Things you can pronounce and nothing extra. So whether you're running a marathon or running errands or you're just a little peckish.
Yep.
IQ Bar empowers doers with superior brain and body nutrition. And they have delicious flavors.
Yeah.
You got chocolate sea salt, peanut butter chip, wild blueberry.
That was my favorite. I love the wild blueberry one.
And they have so many more. It's absolutely delicious. IQ Joe is a jitter-free instant coffee packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine, brain-boosting magnesium, and productivity-enhancing lion's mane. IQ Joe comes in 4 delicious flavors. I can't stop focusing on the flavors.
They're so good.
It's the best part.
Yeah.
They got original black, vanilla spice,
Yum.
cafe mocha, and toasted hazelnut.
That one's my favorite.
They taste better than any brewed coffee. And
Straight
yeah,
up.
The worst part about coffee is those jitters, and it just gives me a bellyache. And IQ Joe is the opposite of those things. You got to try it to believe it.
Yeah. So refuel smarter with IQ Bar's ultimate sampler pack. That's 7 IQ bars, 4 IQ mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. And now our special podcast listeners get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text GALS, GALS, to 64,000. That's 64000. Get your discount. Text GALS to 64,000. One more time, that's GALS to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And treat your bod.
Treat it. It's time, people, to upgrade your uncomfortable undergarments. It's almost summer. We don't have time for this. 2024 is the year of comfort.
Correct.
So support, for today's episode comes from Honey Love. So whether you're a bride, a wedding guest, or just
a human,
a simple old normie person seeking everyday smoothing, Honey Love is the go-to for all things shapewear, undergarments, all of it to make you feel super comfortable and super fabulous. Honey Love has revolutionized compression technology so you no longer have to feel like you're suffocating when you're wearing that kind of undergarments.
Yeah.
So going to the bathroom is a lot easier. Pulling it off at the end of the night is so much easier.
It doesn't roll down.
It doesn't roll down, so if you're getting sweaty, you're getting groovy on the dance floor. It's gonna stay where it needs to be. Honey Love Shapewear features lingerie-inspired design details that you're going to want to show off. It's very cute. And it's made with breathable fabric that keeps you nice and cool. For a limited time only, you can get Honey Love on sale. Get 20% off your entire order with our exclusive link, honeylove.com/wine. Support our show and check them out at honeylove.com/wine.
I'm obsessed with Honeylove, and I use the Superpower short all summer under like skirts and dresses just to keep me from chafing my thighs. It's so comfortable. So like when talking about shapewear, Honeylove's best-selling Superpower short is the go-to. I have to say it. It has targeted compression technology that distinguishes between areas where you want more support and areas you need less compression. I'm a curvy gal. I want to show it off and I want to be comfortable and I don't want to be chafy. Check, check, check. Their signature X targets and sculpts your midsection without squeezing your natural curves. It's designed to work with your body, not against it. You also, like I mentioned earlier, won't have to worry about it rolling down, which is truly unheard of in like shapewear and the like undergarment shorts. And that's thanks to flexible boning that's hidden in the side seams. It just keeps it up. And this piece is also a total booty lifter. You know I have a lot in my trunk.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And this shapewear has boost bands on the back of the thigh to give your booty a lift. It's incredible. And then struggling to take off a tight piece of shapewear with a bathroom line out the door.
No, it's my worst nightmare.
It is a terrible experience, but the Superpower short has a 100% cotton gusset, so you can skip the extra undies. Plus, it has a convenient opening in the panty area for super easy bathroom. No costume change required. You're not going to be holding everybody up in the line. But it doesn't stop there because Honeylove has so much more than just shapewear. They have incredibly comfortable bras, tank tops, leggings for everyday support. Their line is so fantastic. Honeylove is just as easy to put on as it is to take off. Shapewear shouldn't be hard. Their products make you look great and feel great, whether it's for a wedding, event, or an everyday boost of confidence, or just to keep that chafe at bay. Honeylove is the perfect +1.
Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% at honeylove.com/wine. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/wine. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Shape your life with Honeylove.
Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? I did, because I'm a hot sleeper.
I didn't know that, but I felt it.
Yeah. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. They're inspired by NASA, and Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long.
Oh, I love these sheets. So, like Amanda said, it's inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics. Miracle Made sheets are thermo-regulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you can get better sleep every night. They're also self-cleaning.
Love this.
These sheets are infused with that silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. That means 3 times less laundry that you have to do. And there's no more gross odors. I hate the smell of other people's bedrooms. Yeah. When you can tell that they don't, change their sheets often enough. You're not going to have that problem with Miracle Made sheets. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels.
Love that.
So stop sleeping on bacteria, because it's bad for your skin. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. So you can just feel a lot cleaner sleeping on Miracle sheets.
Go to trymiracle.com/gals to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code GALS at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/gals and use the code GALS to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/gals to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you.
Are you ready for my case?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you ready for it?
I guess.
Taylor Swift. Anyway, okay. So Lucy covered this briefly in her segment for Bad Babysitters, but like the Great Theater Brawl, there was so much more to discuss. So I wanted to revisit this case today. Okay, so we're going to clear our minds and go to another time.
It's a good fucking case.
It is a good fucking case. The year is 1950. The location, Columbia, Missouri. The victim, sweet babysitter Janet Chrisman. So Janet was born in 1936. So she was almost just shy of 14 years old and attending middle school at Jefferson High in Columbia after the family had relocated there from Boonville.
Baby.
Such a little babe. Columbia is the college town, and the Chrismans lived above their family business, which was called Ernie's Cafe and Steakhouse, which, first off, this is so precious and literally my dream. There are photos of Ernie's Steakhouse on the drive. This is my retirement goal. I want to open a little bar and crystal shop and live in the charming apartment above it.
Oh my
Is
God,
that so
it's
much to
so
fucking ask?
cute.
It's so cute. It's also funny because it's unclear who Ernie is. That's not in one of their names.
It looks like something about her.
It does. But maybe
that's so
the
cute.
name Ernie was just already the name of the restaurant. They didn't want to change it to hold on to the brand recognition.
Or they just liked the name.
Or they just like the name, and honestly, respect. Either way, I love it. So, who's Ernie? I don't fucking know. Anyway, I'm Janet. So Janet was the eldest daughter of Charles and Lula Chrisman, the cutest parents. She had two younger sisters, 12-year-old Retta and a little 1.5-year-old baby named Cheryl. Everyone was adorable. They all had adorable names. Everyone is precious. This case is a nightmare. Janet's experience helping her mother with her two younger sisters led her to being a very responsible and very reliable babysitter for two families in the neighborhood, the Romack family and the Mueller family, who were neighboring families, and they became her primary gigs. She had been working for the Mueller family longer because the Romack family had moved in much more recently. But I think I'm pretty sure Janet was recommended to the Romacks by the Muellers as a great babysitter. So committed to the hustle, Janet decided to skip a school dance on a Saturday night and accept a babysitting job, which is something I would never do because my FOMO is terminal.
A school dance when you're 14, your whole identity revolves around that. I remember getting ready for those school dances.
I remember picking out what black tank top and what jeans I would wear to my middle school dance and how feathered I would have my red hair.
Which frosted liquid eyeshadow.
And then matching lip gloss.
Yes. We did this together. We literally were getting ready. And listening to J-Lo, Waiting for Tonight.
Yep.
Oh.
When you will be here in my arms, my crush.
My crush.
Okay. Yeah, so this girl is responsible and amazing. She arrives at the Romacks' suburban home around 7:30. Anne Romack, poor thing, was pregnant, and the family had just moved in fairly recently, so she just desperately needed a night out. And this is a creepy detail, actually, because the family rarely ever went out. They almost never got a sitter. It doesn't seem that likely that an attacker would strike randomly and find just a lone babysitter. It makes you think that someone was watching for a little while and getting to know their routine.
Or intending to attack the family that lived there.
Maybe. But we have reason to believe that the family wouldn't have been the target of the suspect's attack. So Janet was informed that their young son, Gregory, that she came over to babysit, was actually already sleeping. He was in his room upstairs with a radio playing quietly, and she just had to keep an eye out and check in on him every once in a while. Ed Romack then showed Janet how to load and unload and fire the family shotgun. Not an experience I have ever had babysitting, but I guess he was feeling paranoid because some incidents had occurred in the area that year.
Oh, shit.
For example, in October, a 16-year-old babysitter had been attacked and assaulted by a man in a white mask. The mask was homemade out of some kind of like paper or cloth.
That's
with simple jagged
a white mask.
A white mask with simple jagged holes cut out for the eyes.
Oh, yuck.
Just weeks later, another young woman who was 18, she was home alone. She was attacked by a man in a similar getup. And she was able to fend him off. The attacker fled into the night. So now we have two young women who survived attacks by a guy in a creepy white mask. Now, it's not proven that they are the same individual and that like one person's story getting whipped up in the press about that break-in didn't maybe, influence the witness testimony of the second victim.
Yeah.
And I'm not victim blaming. I'm saying that there was never any evidence that could connect these two attacks. I personally think it was for sure the same guy. The likelihood of it being two different attacks on similar age young women who were home alone, like, that's far-fetched to me. But they're just reports were saying, like, basically, don't sue us. We don't know that they were connected, but like they had a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
So the very next day after the failed attack, a young woman and her boyfriend were parked at Hinkson Creek, a well-known lover's lane in the area, when a man draped in a white hood mask with holes cut out for the eyes approached the car and brandished a gun.
Jesus.
He ordered them out of the car and marched them away, tying up the young man at gunpoint before sexually assaulting the young woman before running off into the woods.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. These chilling attacks bouncing around in his head, Ed Romack placed the gun by the door, taught Janet how to use it, told her to lock up and turn the porch light on if anybody comes around so that you can see out the front windows, you know, and that the neighbors will know somebody came to the door. Like, this is how we do it. So does the story of a babysitter being attacked by a man in a white mask sound a bit familiar?
It reminds me of that, what's that? Not a babysitter, but that family staying in like the rental home with all the people that like come in. There's like three or four people that come in like weird masks and like tie them up.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe. But this case definitely inspired the famous like urban legends that surround this case in particular, but is also rumored to be the inspiration for the Halloween movie franchise.
Oh,
and like
okay.
Friday the 13th. Mask. Yeah, Friday the 13th, Scream, like a lot of the slasher like white mask movies, I guess, are based on this case/story because so much of this has just been told over time and, you know, like reports are fuzzy on it.
Ugh.
So anyway, as if the air itself knew was about to happen, the temperature drops unexpectedly while Janet's babysitting to the mid-20s, and a storm had been rolling in, covering the region in ice, sleet, and rain.
Oh, great.
Yep. Janet practiced at the piano for a recital that she had the next week because they had a piano at the house where she was babysitting. And all seems well until 10:35 when a phone call is placed to the area police. Officer Ray McCowan picks up the phone and he's shocked when over the receiver comes the sound of screams. In a sobbing panic, a voice muttered words that he couldn't understand before he could make out two words that said, "Come quick." The line then went dead. The sheriff sat in stunned silence and didn't realize that she wasn't on the other end of the phone. So he's asking for her the address, but it's still silent. So the line's gone. Oh my God. He said, "There was silence. I didn't hear anymore. I waited around thinking there might be another call, but none came in. I urged her to calm down and tell me where she was. Then there was silence, not the sound of a receiver being hung up, just silence." In her panic, Janet only had time to ask for help before the call was cut off, and the sheriff could only like wait for her to call back because this is the 50s.
Yeah.
There's no tracing calls. There's no star 69.
You're plugging shit in.
Yeah, and if you don't get through and nobody knows where you are, I mean, it's actually kind of a miracle she could even get to a phone.
Yeah.
So he just waited for a call that never came.
God.
So shortly after this 10:35 call, Ann Romack calls the house to check in with Janet and see how baby Gregory is doing. Now, there are conflicting reports of what happened here. Some versions say that Ann Romack got a busy signal on their home line, but she wasn't really concerned, assuming that the storm had like taken out the phone lines or done something weird with the phone lines. Another version of the account said that she called and it rang and nobody answered, but she wasn't worried because it was already late at night. It was 10:30. She thought Janet had fallen asleep like on the couch in the other room. So either way, they just were like, oh, I guess she's sleeping, or, oh, I guess the storm has the phone lines out.
Something
we'll have to
logical.
We'll figure out when we get home. But they stayed out late. They were partying. They didn't get back till like 1:30 in the morning, and they made it home through the storm. I think part of it was that they were partying, and part of it was that the roads were so bad it took them way longer to get home. So it was like a double-edged sword. And they approached the house, and the porch light is on. And he had told her, like, hey, like the porch light was out when they left. And he had told her, like, hey, turn the light on. Like, if someone comes to the door, turn the light on, look out the window and see who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the front blinds were open. The porch light was on, which indicated to them, like, oh, somebody must have come by the house, because that's exactly the protocol we told Janet if there was a visitor. When the Romax entered the home, they were greeted by an unbelievably horrific sight. Janet was dead. She had been left near the piano. Her sheet music for her upcoming recital was still on the music stand on the piano. Her right slipper was just dangling off the end of her foot. Anne rushed to check on her son and found him, thank God, unharmed, still asleep. He slept through the whole thing. God bless him. And then a newspaper article said, quote, the girl's clothing was rolled under her as though she had been dragged from the hallway into the living room. She was attired in a gray skirt and sweater, white bobby socks and low-cut shoes. She was criminally assaulted in the living room, and there she was found lying by the piano when the Romax returned home. So she had been beaten in the head with a small instrument, possibly a pipe, though that was no weapon like that was ever found or confirmed. Her scalp had many small puncture wounds, and they were determined to be stabbings with a mechanical pencil.
Huh?
Some kind of pencil.
Oh.
Her face had been scratched by someone's fingernails.
Ew.
The killer had cut the cord off the family's clothing iron and used the cord to strangle her. And that was ultimately her cause of death.
But cut the cord off of the iron itself?
Yep.
Wow.
The iron and the scissors used to cut them were both kept in the sewing room down the hall from where the attack appears to have occurred, which raises other red flags. Like, how did the killer know the babysitter would be there alone? How did the killer find these objects so easily if it was in a completely different room than the room where the attack took place? That just doesn't make any sense. The back door was ajar. The phone that Janet had made her call on to the police was dangling off the hook in the kitchen. There was blood found in the kitchen, like smears for how she had gotten herself there. Like, Janet had fought tooth and nail. Literally, she had her killer's skin under her fingernails and evidence of a heavy struggle.
Oh, my God.
So if only we had the forensic science then to use the evidence that she fought so hard for. It's really heartbreaking.
Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like every time I think about like the line between when we had the forensic technology to catch these people, like everyone who committed a murder, like for the last few years before that technology came out, was probably like
the odds were in your favor until then. Yeah,
like I jerked off all over that crime scene. I'm fucked.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
Ugh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
She tried so hard.
She did. And then, I guess after she made her call and the guy ran out the back door, I think she just tried to crawl her way back toward the front door and found, I don't know. And then, or maybe she was able to make that call before she was like so incapacitated, and then he came after her again and chased her into the fucking living room. And it's just like the whole scene is so chaotic and strange and clearly awful, but.
And to be killed like that in someone else's home, if you're like trying to find the phone or trying to find a weapon or trying to find your way out, you're in a stranger's home. With it.
Yeah. It would be
I read recently that like if you are in your own home and there's someone in there like chasing you or trying to attack you, the best thing you can do is turn off all the lights. Because you know your home, without it. They don't. Which I think is like really smart and something that I would never fucking think about on the spot.
Yeah, that is really smart. So Ed called the police while Anne ran upstairs to check on their son. 3 days later, Janet was buried on her 14th birthday.
Oh.
The police investigation was a pretty epic shit show. The sheriff's department tried to track the killer with bloodhounds immediately after they arrived at the scene, but they were thwarted by the cold and the sleet, the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Also, almost right away, Boone County and Columbia Police Departments started fighting over jurisdiction. Lieutenant Joe Douglas from the city police, a different jurisdiction that hadn't any authority since the Romax technically lived 100 yards outside of his city limit, arrived at the scene and attempted to take control of the investigation. But the battle of leadership had the separate agencies being fucking uncooperative with one another. And like
just a fucking pissing match.
Things unraveled quickly. And there were a lot of disagreements between the two groups, and then they're not sharing resources. So that inhibits the investigation. Mm. Point of entry is debated between the two groups. One department said it was a side window, as the window had been shattered with a garden hoe. There was also a sawhorse by the window that had not previously been there and was likely used as a little step stool to be able to reach the window. There were muddy papers found by the piano, and it was thought that he had used them to clean the mud off his shoes. But another department said he had come through the front door and that the broken window had been staged afterwards. The Romack family stated that the garden hoe was kept inside the home, so it couldn't have been used to break the window unless they already had access to the inside. Because the porch light was on, it was suspected that Janet had followed Ed's instructions to turn on the light if someone came to the door and peek out the...
See who it was.
Yep. It made police believe that the suspect was known to Janet, as she wouldn't have opened the door for a stranger. Police theorized that the killer broke the side window as a red herring or possibly to lure Janet, theorizing that he wanted to force Janet to go to the opposite side of the living room away from where Ed's loaded shotgun was kept.
Oh, how would he know that?
Investigators felt that the intruder was familiar with the house and knew where Ed kept his firearm, or if this is the red herring theory, he was looking in that window and broke that window and had an eye on, could see the gun in the background, or if he'd been casing the place to find out that she was there alone. He could have overheard Ed talking about it.
Oh, God. If he was scoping it out,
like if he was looking on the property and he'd been scoping it out.
Oh, that's so gross. Was there any information or evidence about like which direction the window had been shattered out in?
I believe so. I think I read something about that.
Because,
yes.
like if
okay, so she
they
says
they
she
can tell if
says this
they're
earlier.
breaking in or out of the house.
Well, she says this earlier. Anne says this earlier that she's like, that doesn't make any sense that they'd break the window in order to break in, because the garden hoe that he used to break the window, she said we don't keep that tool outside. He would have had to already be inside to get that tool that he used to break that window.
Couldn't they
so
tell
it was broken
if it was
from the
broken
inside out?
Outward because there's shattered glass
but
outside?
I'm not surprised that fucking battling police departments that are all fucking measuring each other's dicks aren't doing a good job investigating this.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
that's
these
true.
are the two different conflicting theories
that
they presented.
That's just such crucial evidence in a lot of crime scenes, like that kind of shit. That's just really unfortunate.
But if the killer was doing it as a red herring and just wasn't smart, it's like that was a theory that he was attempting to make it seem like there was a break-in to cover the fact that whoever was there had to have been known to Janet to make it look random, so that
he was
somebody
already
else
inside,
right?
the house.
So that somebody else in the community wouldn't necessarily be implicated right away.
Yeah.
So there are reasons for any of the above, really. And this is weird. So remember how Janet really only babysat for two couples, the Romacks and the Muellers?
Yeah.
Well, Robert Mueller was playing cards with the Romacks, Anne and Ed, the night of the murder, and as the storm increased, he allegedly excused himself as he had to, quote, speak with a doctor, and just, left the party and didn't come back.
What?
And so he's unaccounted for at the time of this murder.
You're gonna talk to your doctor on, a fucking Friday night?
In an ice storm while everyone's playing cards? Weird, huh? So Mueller would have been familiar with both Janet and the Romack house, and probably would have known, since Janet usually babysits for either the Romacks or the Muellers, that for card night, the Romacks had gotten to her first.
Oh my God.
to hire her as her babysitter, so he could have easily known that she was there. Robert Mueller was familiar with the house as they had been friends with the Romacks for a long time. They spent a lot of time together. He had visited with them often. He knew the layout of the house. He knew like where the iron, the scissors in the sewing room would have been. You know, it was like he would have known. He knew that Janet was going to be there because the Muellers had tried to get her to babysit for them, but she had already committed to the Romacks that night.
So the theory is potentially that he left card night and went and murdered her.
And attacked her.
And then came back to card night.
It's possible that he had wanted to assault her and then it escalated. That's possible. I don't know if his intention was to murder her, but it could have been because Mueller is a fucking creep. According to testimony from Ed Romack, that quote, he had a lustful eye for virgin women, which this girl is 13 years old, so she's not a virgin woman, you sick fuck, and spoke about having a desire to defile someone young.
Spoke about it?
Yep. So I want to talk directly to Ed Romack. When we tell men to, who is long dead now, but when we tell men to hold their own accountable to like protect women, femmes, and queers, it includes not brushing off your creeper friends like this and like maybe don't play fucking cards with this guy anymore and then like let the community know that he's a predator.
Oh my God.
So that little Janet doesn't babysit his kids so that his kids are protected from his creepiness.
Fucking
he has children.
Ish. Ew.
Yeah. Ed Romack also told police that Mueller had quite the revolting eye and was known to make inappropriate comments about young women. He mentioned to Ed that he appreciated Janet's, quote, well-developed form, which she definitely did have. Janet was an early bloomer. God bless her.
Well,
Ed recalled,
good. That is no problem of her own.
No. Oh, my God. No. Ed recalled him making lecherous comments about her well-developed hips and breasts. He also speculated whether or not she was a virgin. He was just making all of these like disgusting, like
as a fucking
the shit that Trump is like,
man, a dad.
This is like locker room talk. He's doing fucking locker room talk with Ed,
and she watched his children.
Yep, and he's talking about her with Ed because he knows that Ed knows her because she also watches Ed's children.
And he's talking about it with Ed because he knows that Ed's just another dude who's not going to say anything.
Dude who's not going to say anything, who's also seen Janet existing. God forbid she do that.
Nudge, nudge. You know what I'm talking about.
Exactly that kind of shit.
So fucking gross.
Uh-huh. So he shared fantasies that he had with Ed. I mean, fuck Ed. He did fuck all to protect this girl. He didn't give a shit about her, knowing that this creepy fuck was living right around the block and not intervening at all while she goes to his home and babysits his children and is like maybe driven home after by him. Oh and Ed didn't do shit. Like, when we get mad at men in general, this kind of shit is fucking why. Yeah. This is why.
You're all complicit.
You're all complicit. There were so many points of de-escalation and like safety
intervention
here that you just ignored, and then we're like, well, I got her first on card night
ish.
I'm
clenching my jaw so hard right now. It's so gross.
Yeah, it's fucking awful. So Anne described Mueller as a man who, quote, doesn't use words, he uses his hands. So he's like a touchy-feely creep. Mrs. Anne Romack also told police that she thought Mueller had made unwelcome advances toward Jeanette in the past. Mueller also had no alibi. Mueller had left the gathering for 2+ hours at a time that aligned with Janet's death. He had stated that he was going to speak to a doctor for his sick child, but this was not corroborated. Witnesses told police that Robert Mueller disappeared for about an hour or two around 10 p.m. The phone call to police came in at 10:35. Took about 20 minutes for the police to get there, and she was already dead. So Mueller could have parked about a half a mile away if, and the dogs took them in a similar direction. He parked away from the house so that no one would recognize his car right in front of the house. The timing is spot on. He parks around 10, 10:05. brisk 10, 15-minute walk. He's attacking her before 10:30.
You know,
it lines up.
I might be okay with just holding fuckers like this responsible, even if we know they're not the ones who actually did it. But if they're covering for someone, at least for a little while, to discourage other people from covering for fucking pricks like this.
Yeah. Mueller himself acknowledged that lack of an alibi, telling the Romax that he was out riding the night Janet Chrisman was slain and, quote, did not have an alibi, but he had no scratches. And she did have, it looked like her assailant's skin under her fingernails. Like, she'd put up a hell of a fight, and he's like, well, I don't have any scratches on me. Which, like, okay, you telling the Romax you don't have any scratches on you when they could have been like, you could have changed your shirt. Like, I
it
get
could be
it.
under your, it could be on your chest or something we're not seeing.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Mueller told Mr. Romack that, yeah, though he didn't have an alibi for a crime, he was innocent. I don't have any scratches. But he just, like, kind of kept incriminating himself. So at 9 a.m., I guess he called Ed to see if he needed any help cleaning up the blood in their house. But the story hadn't been released to the public yet. So it's like, how would you know that? And if rumors were already going around, you know, there's no reason for him to believe that a girl who died by strangulation would have lost a lot of blood. So it just seemed weird that he was like specific about the scene.
No.
In the days after the murder,
or had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Period.
In the days after the murder, Mueller would like to theorize about the murder, saying things like, it would have been easy to get Janet to open the door. All he'd have to say is, Ed sent me to pick up some poker chips. She would have let him right in.
It would have been really easy for me to murder her. Not that I did.
Yep.
But I totally could have.
Mueller told Ed Romack that he believed the killer did not enter through the window because it would have made too much noise. He went on to say the window was probably a ploy by the killer to throw investigators off. He said he thought it would have been much easier for the killer to just knock on the door and say that Ed had sent him to get poker chips.
And then pretend that he broke a window or put the sawhorse under the window or whatever the fuck.
According to Ed, Robert Mueller would go as far as to say, I might have done it and then forgotten it. Like,
why is it?
Why are you playing poker with this guy?
Why is this murder unsolved? We solved it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, unfortunately, he passed a polygraph, and this is back when people thought that meant anything, and a grand jury was still convened to see if they could indict him, but the evidence was all circumstantial. They had no DNA.
Oh,
they had no eyewitness. I mean, even if he did leave the party, nobody knew where he went, which means they can't prove that he went there. They didn't pull his fingerprints.
I get the point of circumstantial evidence, but if it's so fucking flagrant and obvious,
yeah, if they're out here
and someone can just go flaunt around and be like, well,
just talking
this is
about
what
it?
I would have done. This is how I would have gotten away with it. Okay, OJ, motherfucker. What the fuck? There has to be, I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
Very frustrating.
And I know that opens up a whole other can of worms with the, you know, we don't want to, whatever. It's complicated. It's complicated.
The burden of proof can sometimes feel really heavy in cases like this because it's like, this guy obviously fucking did it.
It's really fucking infuriating.
But the grand jury came back saying, quote, in the opinion of the grand jurors, much of the effort expended has been wasted and dissipated because of the failure to correlate the information available. The report continued to blame, quote, petty jealousies that fueled an almost complete lack of cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies. So also, they didn't even have good evidence of what little evidence they fucking had because these two cuckfuck police stations wouldn't just work together to figure this shit out. So despite this seeming exoneration, Mueller furiously sued the police for $300,000, but lost the case. So that's pretty funny. And rumors continued to swirl around Mueller and his involvement. And like, he was pretty ostracized from his community. And there is one last fucking chilling detail that was brought forth, which I will leave you with now. Mueller's high school, like, senior year, he was a theater kid, but he was like a props and costumes theater kid.
In like the fucking 30s or whatever.
Yeah, so he was chairman. Well, he was, yeah, probably. He was chairman of the senior play stage set community at Hickman High School, and classmates recalled him being the lead designer and builder of masks for the senior play.
Oh, stop.
And he used white sackcloth with simple holes cut out for the eyes. That was his thing. Yeah. So we've got the masks, we've got the no alibi, we've got the leaving the party,
Oh my God.
knowing
I
the
feel
house.
ill.
I know. But technically the case remains unsolved.
Oh my God. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that fucking horrifying?
Yes. Look at my face. I'm red.
I know.
That's
I know.
horrible.
Yeah, it's really scary. And I think about, I know we talked about this a little bit in bad babysitters, but like we all babysat.
Yeah.
People, we trusted our community enough to just go to people's homes and
I
assume
put out
it was safe.
flyers. There were
With
random
your phone
people.
number.
Well, yeah, my household
Yeah, the landline. Yeah.
But they were random people. Hey, can you babysit my 8-year-old on Friday? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll be over. Maybe my parents know where the address is. Like, I'll walk,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my case.
No, I cannot with the mask.
No.
I can't.
No, the mask detail.
No.
Last nail in the coffin,
the fuck
man.
over. And
Get the
yes,
fuck
I
outta
covered
here.
this in Bad Babysitters a little bit, but that was like 8% of this. Thank you so much for revisiting, because that is so much more insane.
Yeah.
than I
That's
thought.
the case that sparked a lot of those, like, have you checked the children, babysitter home alone?
The call was
urban
coming
legends
from inside
coming
the house.
from inside the
thing.
house. Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I am not well.
Nope, and I'm really hungry, so should we wrap this up?
Yes. So, thanks, Lauren Hancock.
So
What the fuck did yours have to do with the Ozarks?
that's where it happened, in that region of Missouri.
Oh, God. Columbia.
It happened in the Ozark region.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. I will never forget this. This was a whole lot darker episode than I thought it would be.
They always are.
Thank you, Laura. And Lauren.
We'll see you next
sorry.
week.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Danielle Sylvan. Music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell. Editing by Jonathan Camp. Our production manager is Andrea Gardner. For photos and sources, check out our blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can follow us on all the socials at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support and get access to all sorts of wine-fueled bonus content, visit our Patreon page. Cheers!